Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you are in the world. This is Ryan Carthage, your host for this Inner Circle Live session this morning. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope your week is off to a phenomenal start, and we're going to get rocking. So, as always, please turn off all distractions, prepare your minds and your bodies to engage. And for the courtesy of everybody on the call, if you are not actively making a comment or asking a question, please keep your mic on mute. All right. So just a quick disclaimer, trading does have risk. Okay, trading does have risk. We are not CTAs, which stands for Commodity Trading Advisors. So the information that we give is for educational purposes only. We can teach you about the technicals. We can teach you about the fundamentals. We can teach you about everything all the way down to the trades that we like to take, including take profits and entries. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to press that button and take that trade. So always remember to trade responsibly and never risk any money that you cannot afford to lose. Okay. All right. So what my plan is for this morning, we'll have a little chat. We'll take a look at some fundamental things, and we'll take a look at the New Zealand pairs and the dollar pairs. And then if you guys have any pairs that you want me to take a look at, drop those in the chat for me. All right, drop those in the chat for me. So as I switch over to my other screen, if you want to drop the pairs you want me to take a look at, if we have time in the chat, please do that now as I switch over to my other screen. All right, Euro JPY. Deal. All right, so today, drop me a 1 in the chat if you can see my screen. Okay, cool. All right. So real quick, just take a look at Forex Factory. Forex Factory, we have some news on the dollar this morning, right? Core CPI. All right, CPI and core CPI. So what this is, the change in the price of goods and services purchased by consumers, right? And the core CPI excludes food and energy, okay? So this impacts essentially inflation rates, right? So if we take a look at trading economics, right? Right here, U.S. inflation is seen slowing down. So if we take a look at this to get an understanding of what they're talking about, right? Annual inflation rate in the U.S. is likely easing to 5.3% in August from a 13-year high of 5.4 reported in June and July. Monthly report is seen edging down to 0.04 from 0.5. Meanwhile, the core inflation, which excludes food and energy, is expected to remain stable at 0.03. Compared to previous months, dropped slightly to 4.2% compared to the same month earlier in the year. Inflation surged this year, reflecting a low base effect caused by the coronavirus and the reopening of the economy and continued supply constraints. Investors are keeping a close eye on the CPI release, as it could provide more clarity on when the Fed will start to cut stimulus. And a stronger than expected reading could face the Fed to start tapering early. Okay, so what that means is, depending on how these numbers come out, if they're stronger than expected or higher than expected and the inflation rate has not decreased, the Fed has the potential of cutting that stimulus sooner, right? Tapering off their, my terms, propping up of the economy, right? And the potential of increasing interest rates sooner, which has been the back and forth conversation that we've been seeing over the past few months. And if that occurs, then we could see a rise in the dollar, right? As we remove or stop the printing of money, right? It increases the value of the dollar, right? However, if that number comes in lower, right, or weaker than expected, right, we could see the Fed continue to provide that stimulus, right, that prop on the economy, as they see us still going through this period of time, which would not be positive for the dollar. So that's something to think about as we move through the charts this morning. Take a look at some of those dollar pairs. And we'll take a look at the NZD JPY from a risk on, risk off perspective. But that's something to keep in mind as we're going through that. Okay. So, yeah. So keep those thoughts at the back of your mind. And then, hop over to Trading Economics and read some of these articles, right? It'll help give you a better understanding of where we are in the space and what countries are talking about, right? And then if there's something that you don't understand, hop over to Google. Type that in, right? Read more about that topic, or go to YouTube, which is the greatest search engine of all time, right? And watch some videos, right? Hear people break it down from different perspectives so that you can get a clear understanding of what these topics are, what these things mean, okay? While I'm on that, so I'm going to take a step back. We've created this space. The inner circle, the Forex trade room, to help traders become consistently profitable. I know we got some new folks on the call this morning, so this will be a good conversation for you guys to hear. Some of the folks that have been with us a while, you've heard this a little bit, but our goal with this organization, this team, this family, this community that we're creating is to be able to help you guys do this trading thing independently, right? To help you guys learn the skills to be able to do this independently at a consistently high level, right? For those that desire to do this professionally, our goal is to help you become that. But what that means is that you got to take some ownership in this thing, right? You got to take some ownership in this thing and really dig into the material, right? Maybe put in some extra time, read some extra articles, do some extra research, right? Or maybe it's as simple as clicking through the platform, right? Clicking through the platform to find out what's here, right? What information is available to you as you're coming into this new space, right? If you haven't been through each of these sections, maybe after this call, you hop through and you dig into this to see what we're actually providing, what you're actually paying for, right? Because we're providing this for you to take hold of and be able to create your own out of it, right? So there's some personal ownership that comes into this, right? But that also means that you have to learn yourself, which we talk about in our Mindset Monday sessions, right? Learn yourself, learn about your fears, right? Learn about those things that you struggle to do, and then take action to do those and step past those boundaries, step past those hurdles, right? Implement those trades, right? Push the button on your own, implement each step of the methodology that we teach so that you can really start to get comfortable doing it on your own. Because that's the purpose of this whole thing, is to help each of you be able to do this at a high level on your own. So if someone is going to hold your hand through every single step of every single thing, you won't get comfortable doing it on your own. As a baby's learning to walk, that baby stands up, falls down, stands up, falls down, stands up, falls down, takes one step, falls down. And then it can take two steps. But if mommy and daddy is just holding their hand, as they're trying to do this all of the time, that baby won't learn to walk on its own for a very long time. So I'm saying this to say, I want us to start to make a shift, and some of you have done this, but start to make a shift to really, really own this experience. Own this experience, right? You've made this decision, understand why you've made this decision, and own it, man. There's power in the decisions that you make. So make a concrete decision and then take action to then walk through that experience, to really own that decision and make whatever it is that you desire to make. Because you can truly do whatever it is that you want to do in this world. You can create whatever you want to create, but you have to own it. You got to own it. And you got to take the bull by the horns and you got to go. You got to implement, you got to take action, even when you make mistakes. You got to learn from those and continue to take action. So this experience is created so that you guys can do this on your own, man, at an extremely high level. That's why we created it. That's why we're here. That's why we show up every single day for you. And that's why you guys continue to show up every day for yourselves. So be sure that you're owning this process. All right. So that's my thing for today. So Benny, good morning, bro.
Good morning, Ryan. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. Big report this morning. I heard you talking about it. It's huge. People want to, while the market kind of might be moving sideways with a lot of the pairs, everybody's waiting on the number. Everybody follows the US. So 8:30. We'll see.
You got any other thoughts on, I read the article, you got any other thoughts on this number and the impact that either side has on the dollar? Any more clarity that I may not have given? Or
no, I mean, no, you pretty much said it all. It's simple, right? We definitely don't like to complicate things, right? You get a CPI number that comes through high. It's all related to that inflation, right? And what the speculators are thinking, if that number comes through, larger than what's forecasted, the economy it continues to heat up, right? The inflation, and they think, hey, that could force the Fed to speed up the tapering process. Just like you said, it's very, 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 very simple. If it comes in low, right, below forecast, then it's just the opposite. You may see the dollar continue to tank. But a lot of the economies around the world, they like to wait to see on what the U.S. Fed is going to do, right, and then kind of follow accordingly. It's kind of a wait and see for everybody. So that's why you see some of the currencies pushing sideways and things like that, and why you really haven't seen much. Besides what we went over Saturday, that's moving good. Like if you look at the Aussie pairs and stuff like that, everything's still moving to target, right? But you haven't really seen anything come through, right, on the Telegram so far this week. I mean, yesterday was only Monday, but because I know for when I know you are kind of waiting to see what this number is going to look like to see which direction is going to push, the market, just not only far as the dollar pairs, but like I say, everybody else tends to kind of follow suit after that. So we'll see things pick up. So just hoping to see it. I want to see it coming above or below, so we get the volatility to push the market either way, and then we can set up the trades accordingly. But other than that, things are still moving towards target based on the last setups that we talked about previously, which is a good thing. But I definitely want to see some more clarity in regards to this number that comes through at 8:30.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Appreciate it, dude.
Yep.
So before we dig into the charts, does anybody have any questions about anything we talked about the past 15 minutes? Any questions? We good? Okay. So let's get rocking. New folks that are with us. Yo, this might sound like gibberish to you, and that's okay. It's a new skill that you're learning, right? New thought process, new everything. So it's okay if this sounds gibberish. Just continue to immerse yourself. After this, you'll get a view of the whole picture, right? Everything that we do and why we do it, you'll see the whole picture. Then you dive into the training and you go step by step through that training, and you'll see each piece that we talk about in this whole picture broken down into its individual parts. Then tomorrow, the next day, you can come back and bring specific questions from what you learned to these sessions as you're then seeing it in its whole pie again. All right. So immerse yourself in the information. If you need clarity on something, don't hesitate to ask. Most likely the question that you have, somebody else has as well. Okay. So let's dig in. So first, just take a look at the United States dollar real quick, right? So we'll hop out to the 4-hour time frame. Okay. And we see that the dollar's been pulling back, right? Been moving down for quite some time. And then as of September, right, been trying to get a push up. Okay. From a Fibonacci perspective, you'll see, right, these are fibs to the downside. You see that we got a nice pullback here, and then price has just been moving sideways, right? As Benny just talked about, right? Just been moving sideways. So this number, and we're sitting right at a monthly support level. Okay. That gray zone is a monthly level. So we want to see, right? Will price continue to bounce higher, right, and move back to the upside, or will we get a break below this level, right, and price to move back to the downside? Okay, so that's what today could give us. That's what today could give us. Okay, so from a dollar perspective, just been moving sideways. Stochastic getting down into the buy zone, right? So some buying momentum potentially, but just been sideways. So we'll see what the market has to offer for us today from a dollar perspective. Okay, so want to take a look first at the dollar CAD, right? So if we zoom out on this from a daily perspective, right? From a daily perspective, price has been moving down as we've been monitoring. And this is that move to the upside, right? As the dollar has gotten some strength, right? This is that move back to the upside. Yeah, Ebony, I feel you on that. I feel you on that. So price has been moving to the upside, right? So in these smaller waves to the upside, this is where we've been. So if we drop a fib from the bottom to the top on this, like so, right? We got this AB boundary here, right? Our goal, our target is this 38.2 level, right? We've been in this kind of 80-20 space. Price didn't hit that D extension, trying to get back to at least this daily 38.2 level, right? And price has been pushing there, but most recently just moving sideways in between this daily resistance and daily support zone. Okay, so we have this AB boundary, the sub AB boundary on the down retracement zone, right? And we did get a 618 retracement, but we got price to push up, came back down, and then it gave us another top here. So we want to see what's going to happen. Okay, so that's from a daily perspective, just been moving sideways, right? So if we drop down to the 1, we drop down to the 1 on this. Okay, this is that sideways movement that we see. Okay, it's that sideways movement. So couple things on this, right? I'm going to keep these lines. I'll take them out and then I'll redraw them so you guys can see why they're there. Okay, so that's my trend line from this last low point at this monthly support level. Okay, at that low, all the way up to the top, right? That's how price has been moving. If we want to identify when the trend changed, that trend line would shift there. Okay, to identify when that trend changed. Right. But I have this line down here just to monitor because price has been kind of just hovering, right? Just in this zone, right? That consolidation, when we draw our trend lines, we like to draw them to the outermost point of price when price starts to move sideways. So move that out there primarily for that reason, right? And we can draw additional trend lines going up to identify the trend changes. However, right, if we drop our fibs from the top of this consolidation zone, the highest point to the downside, we see that fibs got taken out back to the upside. All right. So then if we come here and go up, right, again, in consolidation, right, you guys know fibs get taken out on both sides frequently. So That's why we're now back at the top of this. I'll clear this out to clean it up. We're at the top of this move there, right? So we had price push down, gave us a 38.2 retracement, then came back to that 118, 127 zone, and then gave us a deeper push, right? And we got this move to the downside. Okay. Now, can anybody identify what this pattern could potentially be? Anybody got any thoughts? King's Crown, absolutely, right? Right, that price pushed down, pulled back, right? Then took out that low, right? Took out the previous low, then came back immediately and took out the previous high, right? Now price is pulling back, right? And we're getting a sideways movement. So we'll see if this pattern plays out, right? We'll see if this pattern plays out. It'll be more of a shallow crown, but if it plays out, it would be something like that, right? Unless price pushes then deeper, which it could, right? If we have the same, whoops, what I got going on here? My bad. There we go, right? So if price pushes down to be equal with this left tip, right? Price could push down deeper like that if this pattern plays out, right? Depending on how that news comes out. Okay, so that's potential there from a short-term perspective. Okay, so we're waiting to see, right? So price has been moving down. We got a 618 retracement, but we potentially have a King's Crown reversal pattern, right? Which if that plays out, price will push to the upside. Okay, so those trend lines that I had, right? So we got this uptrend line, right? From the bottom coming up like so, right? We can draw an inner trend line like this, right? And then we have our downtrend line coming like that. The price is just moving into it's kind of a wedge pattern, right? So now we want to see if we get a breakout to either side of this pattern, right? Just been consolidation, right? In consolidation, you get your harmonic patterns. And right, we're moving into this space. So, right, price is starting to narrow down and we'll see, right? Do we get a break to the top or do we get a break to the bottom? Right. So after the news does what it's going to do, we'll see what we get. Right. We could get a push down and then a break to the top side, or we could get a breakout to the bottom. Right. If that news comes in weaker, right? Okay, so that's what we'll watch for to see how this plays out after the news. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. Like that. Okay. So dollar CAD, that's where we are. Sideways movement, right? Waiting for the news to see if we get a push in one direction or the other. Okay. If we get a push in one direction or the other. Any questions? No, no questions. All right. Good deal. Let's pop out. Let's take a look at USD JPY. Okay. From a daily perspective, again, right? Just sideways movement. Just sideways movement. From a fib perspective, right? This is our capital AB boundary here. Got a shallow retracement, push up to the 118 to 127 zone. Came just shy of that 38.2 level. And then we got another push to the top side before we started moving sideways. Okay. But it's just been sideways movement. All right. Fibs taken out on both sides. So if we drop down to the 1 hour time frame, right? See if we can identify some potential opportunities here. You see that range a lot more clearly now, right? Just bouncing between this daily support, daily resistance. So it's in the middle. What we did was this is the active fib on the 1 hour time frame, right? We got a 786 retracement, but then price just stayed sideways on this. So another one that we'll just sit and wait for, right? There's obviously always going to be smaller waves within this. So this fib, just picked this high here, right? Which is one of the previous highs in that range, right? And dropped it from the top to the bottom. And this is that sub fib wave, right? But again, it's all going to be dependent on the news. So consolidation is what we have, and we'll wait to see how this plays out, right? If we get a push to the top and takes out this A, then we'll map fibs from the bottom to the top, right? In the dollar's favor, takes out the A, right? We could see something like that. And then we'll be able to map the fibs from the bottom to the top on that, okay? But if it takes out that A and pushes up to this daily resistance level, it will also take out this A, right? Which is we'll call it the capital fib on this 1 hour time frame, right? So those fibs will start from this lowest point, and then we'll map them all the way through. Okay. So sideways movement. Again, if you drew those trend lines similar to what we did on the Canadian dollar, right, you'll see you'll have a similar look. You'll have that similar wedge type look. Right. All right, price is just moving into that wedge and look for a breakout to one side or the other. Okay. So we're just chilling. Sitting and waiting on this one. Sitting and waiting on this one. Okay. That's where we are. That's where we are. Any questions on this dollar yen? No? All right. All right, all right, all right. Keep it rocking. Yen, CAD, Swiss franc. All right. Let's clean this up a little bit. There we go. All right. So pop out to the daily. And this is something that's been going back and forth, right? The Swiss franc being a safe haven currency similar to the yen, right? We see, right? So as the dollar is gaining strength, these can be kind of interesting, right? Because the dollar can be seen as a safe haven currency as well, or it can be seen as could see positive movement if we're in a risk on environment as well. So it kind of bounces back and forth depending on the scenario. With the dollar and the yen, both of them can be kind of interesting because the dollar can be seen as a safe haven currency as well as a risk on asset as well, depending on the sentiment of the market. So it can get a little interesting with these pairs, but more while we trade what we see with these, and we base the risk on, risk off sentiment more on the New Zealand yen as opposed to either of these currencies because of the conflict that they can have at times. So you'll see the sideways movement in those periods of time. I got a question that popped in. When you say the JPY usually mirrors the dollar, how then do we explain how the waves are formed? Right. So it's surely based on the two separate economies, right? With Japan continuing to grow and expand the middle class, right? They can see some positive pushes at points. Or if they are, very rarely do they, you won't see high interest rates from Japan. But if there's changes from an inflation standpoint in Japan, or if the dollar just gets weak, right, then you'll see strength in the Japanese yen, right? So we just trade what we see in those scenarios because it can be somewhat of a conflict, as obviously the dollar can't mirror the yen if they're the two crosses that are in that particular currency. Similar to the dollar Swiss franc. The Swiss franc is also a safe haven currency as well. So you can see at times, you can see, right, extended periods of consolidation in these pairs, right? But then when you get a move, most likely you're going to get a move, right? But it's a lot of sideways movement. So it all depends on some of those smaller reports, different periods of time, seasonality can play a role in that as well. So that's kind of what gives you the moves to the upside and to the downside with those pairs, because obviously they can't mirror each other if they're being compared to each other, for lack of better terms, right? So each economy is still going to move, right? It's just how it moves and when it moves, which will give you these waves. Okay. Hope that helps. So this is the active AB boundary on the dollar Swiss, right? We got a 786 retracement, and price has been trying to push to the upside, but like I said, we're just moving sideways. Okay. So got another level here that I don't have marked. So let's do this. Let's take that out. Take that out. And that. Clean this up a little bit. Support level here. So we got this daily support level here. Change this to red. Okay. And we will keep that resistance level there, right? We got another support level that was formed here. Like so. All right. And most recently, this is this tighter range that price has been moving in, but overall, top to bottom, now it's trying to make its way back to the top. Okay. So that's from a daily perspective. So if we go down to the 1 hour, look at these smaller waves, right? Price has been trying to push to the upside. So we'll start down here with our fib, right? We'll start at the bottom and we'll see what gets taken out where. Okay. Now let's zoom in. There's going to be a lot of back and forth. What am I missing here? There we go. All right, so those expanded out like that. And then they got taken out to the downside. So we'll start from the top, work down. And then here we are. All right, so this is our low. That high got taken out there. So we start from the bottom, work our way back up to the top. Whoops. Took out the high there. So we'll come back to the bottom. Here, this is the low. There we go. So this is our active AB boundary on this 1 hour time frame. Okay. So as those fibs get taken out, right, at the highs and the lows, then you just change your direction, right? In consolidation, that'll happen quite a bit. So this is the active fib on this 1 hour time frame. All right, we've got a 50% retracement. Price is trying to make its way back up, but we ran into this long-term trend line. Okay, so we'll wait to see how this responds to the news. Okay, all right, we got to bounce off that trend line, and then we just started moving sideways. Okay, so if we wanted to draw a tighter trend line on this, we'll come back to the low here and draw us an inner trend line, like so. Okay. And then like that. All right. So those are our trend lines to the upside, and this is our long-term trend line to the downside. You see, similar to the other pairs, right? Just working its way into this wedge, right? Just this one, we're at the top of the wedge, not in the middle. Okay, so it's another wait and see, right? This could be a double top. Price could push to the downside. Okay, or right, we got that 50% retracement, so price could push up, hit that D extension, give us new AB boundary, and then we'll see what happens from there, right? We can play the smaller waves from there once a new AB boundary is formed, right? But we're in the middle right now. We want to see how it plays out. All right, so we'll wait for a new AB boundary to form there. Okay. Any
Hey Ryan,
questions?
I came in late a little. When did you do those trend lines? Was that at the daily or?
Yep. We bounce back out. All right, that outer trend line that came from the low and the high. All right. And then as you narrow down into the time frame, you can draw your inner trend lines from there.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Make sense?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
it does. Thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Yeah, Ryan, I have a quick question.
Yes, Vincent, what's up?
Okay. So typically then, okay, in these situations, okay, so the way, because it's raging the way it is right now, the confirmation we're looking for is for it to break one of the trend lines, either up or down, retest, and then I guess at the same time, take a look at what's going on with your stochastic in order to try and make a decision about whether you jump in or not.
That will be part of the story. It'd be part of the story, right? The other thing is, right, we got a 50% retracement, right? Okay. So does price push up and hit this D extension, right?
Okay.
Price push up to hit that D extension. Now we'll get a new fib that'll form.
Okay.
Right. And now, because the fib is our bat signal, right? Once we get that new AB boundary to form, now we can then play the moves accordingly, right? AB boundary, we can look for that retracement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or if it gives us a shallow retracement and push up to the 127, then we can play that as well.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So we want to wait for it in this case, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want to wait for that new fib to form because it is close to that D extension. So if price pushes up, hits that, then we can make a move. Or if price does continue to reject off of that trend line and move deeper, right? Now we want to see, A, does price push down to take out that A,
mm-hmm.
right? And then we have what? A new fib to the downside, right?
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So we'll want to sit on our hands a little bit and see how price responds to the news. Okay, because if it's positive for the dollar, we'll get that new AB boundaries to the upside. If it's not, then we'll get a push to the downside, and potentially either price will come down and take out this A, right? And that could potentially create a harmonic pattern, which would then be, right, we'll have our fibs to the downside, another new AB boundary, and then potentially then a move off of that B boundary back to the upside. Okay. You follow me on that?
I believe I do. It sounds like you're basically kind of waiting for the next wave.
Waiting for the next wave. Yeah, because we're in the middle right now, right? So it's too high to buy, right? Mm-hmm. Too high to buy. And we're waiting on news to come out. So we don't know if we want to sell yet, right? We don't have that true direction.
All right. Now in this wave that that we're in the middle of right now, that initially it pulled back to the 50. Now ideally you would want to to pull back to like the 61.8, correct?
Yeah, we like 61.8 and deeper, right? from a risk to reward perspective.
And that's following your rules. Like, so, I mean, some people might
Yep.
play off the 50, but you like to wait till the 61.8 though.
Yep, I do.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay,
So
I understand.
just because I'm going to place my stop below the A.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I understand your justification. Okay, got it.
Cool. Good question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Yes, I do.
What's up, Disney?
Good, thank you. I drew my FIP from the I drew the type 2 FIP that you have right there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I drew mine from the 50% mark right
So
there.
you took one from here to the top as well.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay. Yep. So that'd be a smaller type 2 move. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you understand the parameters around that. So absolutely, right? It's a smaller move. But you're still in a scenario where you're waiting to see, right? You got a 38.2 retracement, right?
Yeah.
So you could get price to push up. And if the smaller fib plays out, that extension would be there. Or you could potentially get a stall here, right? As that capital fib, the extension gets hit,
Yeah.
right? And then you could potentially get a deeper reversal,
Okay.
right? Something like that.
Cool.
Cool. Or if it does that strong breakout, it could retest that and then bounce. Any other questions? No? All right, cool deal. Let's take a look at I've been covered these over the weekend. Took a look at the euro dollar and the pound dollar as well. Let's hop back out, right? So on this one, we've been watching this move to the downside for quite some time. We got a 38.2 retracement off of the capital fib here, right? But price has been moving down as the dollar's gained its strength. So if we zoom in on this move to the downside, let me take these out. Right? AB boundary, we got a shallow retracement. Price has just been moving to the downside, right? Not able to gain any traction as the dollar has bounced back and forth. Euro tried to pick up some strength, but couldn't break through this daily resistance level. Okay. So we've just been ranging, just like the rest of them, right? Excuse me. So another one that we're waiting to see. Technically, this is still an 80-20 space. The D extension has not been hit yet. But from a daily perspective, just been sideways. Okay. So if we drop down to the 1 on this, okay, take a look at these smaller waves. Right. If we ran our fibs from the to the bottom, I want you guys to see this. Run the fib from the top to the bottom, maybe. There we go. Right. Came down, right, and the fib got taken out by the move to the upside. Okay. Move that up for a second. The fib got taken out by the move to the upside. So then we start from the low and work our way up. And now these fibs got taken out by the move to the downside, right? Which is why you saw that last wave of fibs coming from the top to the bottom, like so. So this is the active fib on this 1 hour time frame. Okay. Got AB boundary here. We got a 6-to-8 retracement, right? I'll close that trade out. Price pushed down to this daily support level, right? Couldn't quite break through it. So we'll see how it responds, right? Price is stochastic is in the middle. Okay. So now we're waiting to see, right? Does price continue down and give us a nice push to the downside, or do we get a push higher? Right? Another wait and see scenario. Okay. But we did get a 6-to-8 retracement. So depending on how the news comes out, right, could get a push higher and then potentially move down, or a price could just fall to the downside. Okay. So another one where we're kind of in the middle, right? If you didn't get in this trade off the 618 retracement, right? You want to wait to see. You don't want to sell low because you could then get price to push higher, right? And not an ideal scenario to buy either, right? Because you don't have a new AB boundary that formed. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens. Where does the market push price? And then what forms from there, right? If we get a higher move, if price does push higher, right? We'll just drop our trend line, right? And then we'll wait for a trend line break. And then if it takes out that A, then we'll run our fibs from the bottom to the top. Okay. But right now we're just waiting to see. We're just waiting to see. Currently, this trend line would be like this. And that was your break to the downside, along with your swing high formation. Excuse me, your swing high formation that formed here. Okay. So we'll wait and see how the news plays out, right? And where the market pushes, and then we can make our determinations after things settle down. Okay. That's where we are right now. Any questions on this one?
No, sir.
All right. Take a look at the pound dollar. All right. So from a daily perspective, this is our capital AB boundary here. Been still tracking this one down to this daily 38.2 level. I'm sorry, this is the daily 38.2 level here, the second red line. Okay. We dropped our fibs, our sub fibs on this one from the top to the bottom as we've been mapping this move. Similar to the euro dollar, right? Still trying to push to the downside. Did get a break of this downtrend line, okay? But it's just been moving sideways. Got a double bottom here at this weekly support. Price is trying to push up, but it's still stalling, having a struggle getting through this daily resistance zone, okay? So because we're in this range, shift that trend line to the outside, okay? Excuse me. So that's our long-term trend line there, okay? And then we got this move to the upside, all right? So do we get a break either way? Okay. Like so. So if we go down to the 1, we'll map those, right? You see the fibs, they got taken out on both sides. So most recently, these, that played out as intended. Oops. All right, so we had this fib here, this most recent fib, got taken out by the move to the upside. Okay. Got taken out by the move to the upside. Right? Like that. Which we talked about last week, right? It's made a nice move to the upside and it's still trending up there. Struggling to break through that resistance. So if we drop our fibs from the bottom to the top, right? This is our AB boundary. We got a shallow retracement, 118 and 127 play, right? That was the short opportunity. You had TP1, TP2 hit there. Then you got price to push back up. Now we got a double top formation here. Okay. So how does it respond to the news? Okay. Did we get price to push down in favor of the dollar? and run back to the downside, right? Or does price break through this and push to the top? Okay. Kind of like a triple top here, right? 3 touches in this daily resistance zone. Okay. So with that, potentially we could see that move back to the bottom of this range, right? So we'll see what happens. Price is trying to start pushing down, but we'll wait for the news on this one, right? If you didn't enter this one already off of this move, right? If you're not already in play, just wait and see. Just wait and see. But we're at the top of a range, right? Could get that move to the downside. So that's where we are on the pound dollar. Any questions here? This is what Evan was talking about, right? If the CPI numbers come in strong, right? Meet or exceed the expectations, right? Could see push to the downside. Okay. So that's the pound dollar. Take a look at the Aussie dollar from a daily perspective, right? This is our capital AB boundary here, right? Been tracking this move to the downside. We got a 61.8 retracement, right? Off that move. So if we map the fibs from the top to the bottom, right? Those sub fibs on the daily time frame, we see we got a 61.8 retracement off of this fib. Price is trying to make its way back to the downside. Okay. Got a stochastic in the buy zone with news on the way. Okay. All right, so that's from a daily perspective. From a daily perspective. So we have down to the 1. And we zoom all the way out, right? See those fibs to the downside, and we see price took those fibs out back to the upside. Okay, so where we sit right now, capital AB boundary, right? This was a play 2 weeks ago, the 3rd, right? Shallow retracement, 118, 127, move to the downside, right? If you're still sitting in this move, you're pushing down, right? Almost to TP3. Almost to TP3. Okay. Never got a reversal off that 6-1-8, right? Kept pushing to the downside. So, and now price, you see, right? Price is still trying to keep pushing. So we'll see, right? Does price push down, take out that A, and now we get a new down fib sequence. Then we can look to play those moves from there. Okay. We want to see what price chooses to do. Right. But we could see that happen. If it's strong for the dollar, the A gets taken out. We get new fibs to form from the top. Like that. AB boundary. We got a 38.2 retracement, right? At D extension. If that plays out, right? If it comes down, takes out that A, now we get new fib sequence to the bottom. Okay. So we'll wait and see. Wait and see. It's already in motion. Okay. So that's the Aussie dollar. Any questions on that? No? All right. All right, all right, all right. Cool deal. Let's take a look at the New Zealand pairs real quick. So we got the New Zealand Swiss franc. Okay, this is one that's been just lingering, just hovering sideways for quite some time. We come back out to the daily time frame. We see, right? This is the up move. This is the retracement, right? So up retracement zone. I know I got a lot of lines on this, so yeah. So forgive me. Let's clean it up a little bit. There we go. All right, you can see a little bit better. So if we map these fibs from from the bottom to the top, just so you get a good understanding where we are spatially. Right, from the bottom to the top, right, you see we got a 618 retracement, and then we got the bounce, right? Price pushed up. New Zealand gained strength over the past couple of weeks, right? So very little retracement here at all, right? So we got some consolidation right here at this weekly resistance, and then we got to push to the top side. Okay. So from a daily perspective, right, the New Zealand has been gaining strength. Commodity currency, risk on environment, makes sense, right? So long term, if this fib plays out, right, if price doesn't push deeper, right, this is that D extension level up here. If we stay in the risk on environment, right, that would be the move off of that retracement. Okay. So if we map the sub fibs from the top to the bottom, right, monitoring this move to the downside, which is where we are currently today. Now, don't get confused, right? Long term, if that plays out, but remember, right, things change seasonally, right? So the New Zealand is a commodity currency. So generally, drop me one in the chat if you can hear me. My mic just went out.
We can hear you.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you. If we stay in a risk on environment, right, we can see the New Zealand continue to gain strength, right? However, if the dollar gains strength and we move into more of a risk off environment, right, because the potential of interest rate increases, we could see that Swiss franc gain the strength, right? So understanding that piece can kind of give you a better understanding and idea of how this kind of goes together, right? So this dollar news could potentially be impactful to multiple currencies, right? So this is the field we've been tracking to the downside in the most recent time. We got a 618 retracement, didn't quite get to that 786 level, okay? So 618 retracement off of this move. And so now we're looking to see, do we get some relief off of this, right? The market moves in waves, right? This was almost straight up. So now do we get that retracement to come? Okay. If we do, it'll be in line with the 618 retracement, right? You could see price push deeper, right? Deeper than that 618 level. And that's the matching D extension for this down fib, right? But if price takes out this A to the upside, right, the price will push all the way up. But we got the market is overbought, which you can see that, right? You can see that in the candles, starting to get some sideways movement, right? So if we take all of this down to the 1 hour time frame, see where we are from a smaller time frame more recently, okay? We map our fib from the bottom to the top, right? This is that long move to the upside, okay? Oops. There we go. Maybe, there we go. All right, so that long move to the upside right there, right? Very little retracement. Very little retracement. Okay. Get it together. There we go. So we map these fibs from the bottom to the top, right? Smaller waves, you got some retracement, but it's been really strong moves to the upside. So now this is where we sit, right? This is the active AB boundary on this 1 hour time frame. Been moving sideways. We got a shallow retracement. Didn't quite get down to that 38.2 level, right? Didn't quite get there. Price pushed up 118, 127 zone, right? And now it's trying to push back to the downside, right? Off our inner trend line, right? We drew those trend lines from that low, all right, all the way through the highest point. We got a break of the trend line, pull back and retest. Now price is trying to push back below this weekly now support, okay? Yeah, Ken, it has. It's just been taking its time. Been taking its time. Been taking its time. So we'll see what happens, right? We got a level of support right here, right at the top of this zone, right? So we want to see price break through this to the downside, all right? If we get a break of this outer trend line here, hold on 1 second, everybody. 1 second. All right, so we want to see a break of this outer trend line here, right? And then pull back and hold this level for then that continuation to the downside, okay? Nice bearish candle, pull back and retest, and then we could see that move to the downside, right? But this is sitting in an 80-20 space, okay? For your confirmations, right? If you play the confirmations, that's what I would wait for, right? A break and a pullback for that continuation on these, right? If you trade the zones, right, you probably would already be in this off of this 118 move, right? And now you're just playing the 80-20 play to the downside. Okay. Again, with news happening, play with caution, wait on your confirmations. Okay. So, all right. So NZB Swiss franc. Stochastic trying to push up into that sell zone again. All right. We'll see. Any questions on this one? No. All right. Let's take a look at the NZD JPY. NZD JPY. This is from an indicator perspective of risk on, risk off environment, right? This is the pair that you like to look at because you have a true commodity currency with a safe haven currency, right? So with this pair, clean this up so we can see, right? And tracking the move to the downside, right? If we take our fib here, okay, it's the AB boundary. We got a 38.2 retracement and we got that bounce. We got that bounce. So now, all right, so now we want to see, all right, similar to the NZD Swiss franc, right? Very little retracement that occurred, just a strong bullish move to the upside. Okay. So if we know where we are from the capital fib perspective, so we'll remove that and we'll look at these fibs to the downside. Right. AB boundary, right? We got a 6-to-8 pullback, stalled at the 118 level, right in line with that 38.2, then gave us this push back up, right? Just shy of that A boundary, right? Didn't take out the A. So now we're at the top, daily resistance, right? Strong level that price is trying to figure out what it wants to do. Okay. That's still your highest point at the moment. So that would be your trend line. If we drew it there on the daily time frame. Okay. So deep retracement here. Deep retracement here on the NZD JPY. So when this is up, right? When price is moving up and New Zealand is gaining strength, we're in a risk on environment, right? More likely that from all perspectives, right? Investors are willing to be more risky with their funds because money is cheap, right? When this starts to move to the downside, right? Turns bearish, then we move into that risk off environment, right? Potential for interest rate increases, those sorts of things. And investors then, right, move their money to safer spaces, more consistent interest rates. They won't lose any money, whereas the stock market is risky. high volatility, you can make a lot of money during those risk on times, right? So we want to see, does price push down and do we move into a risk off environment? It's going to be dependent a lot on these numbers that come out at 25 minutes. Okay. All right. So let's go down to the 1 hour time frame. Take a look. Right. So we know where we are. So let's do this. Let's do this. Let's go back to the daily time frame. Back to the daily. And right. So that's the AB boundary there. Okay. So what we'll do is this. We'll copy this AB boundary so we can track this full move on the 1 hour time frame. Okay. Remove these. We'll remove those. All right. So let's go to the 1. So we have that AB boundary there that we're tracking. Didn't take out the A yet, right? See those smaller waves that are happening. And then we will map our fibs on the 1 hour time frame from this low. Okay. So we can track both sides of this, right? So we haven't taken out the A yet. So still potential for a move to the downside. Okay. So the fibs on the 1 hour time frame, we're here. Shallow retracement, 118 to 127 zone, and just been moving sideways. Okay. Just moving sideways at this daily resistance level. Right. So what we'll do is we'll shift this trend line to the outermost point. Right. We're in consolidation, sideways movement. So we'll shift that to the outermost point. Right. So if we're playing the confirmations, we want a strong bearish break of this trend line to give us this move to the downside, if that's what the market's going to do. All right. So we know we're waiting on these dues numbers to come out. So we'll play it accordingly. We'll play it accordingly. Right. We'll wait for move, pullback, and then your entry. Right. If you didn't enter off this high point, right? If you're not in this move already, wait for your confirmations to see where price goes. Okay. That's TP1, TP2, TP3. Okay. So that's the NZD JPY. Again, if we see this move to the downside, likely that those numbers came in very strong to increase the dollar. Investors will start moving their money to those safe haven currencies. Okay.
I have another question.
What's up?
Okay. So in this scenario, then, okay, what we'd be looking for is, okay, depending on news, if we get a break of this trend line, it retests it, it starts to move down, like if it develops like a swing high. Are you entering at that point, or are we still kind of waiting because we still have this other support zone that's below it?
In this scenario, right? If we get a strong bearish break, because this is kind of your longer term trend line, right? Past few weeks. So if you get a bearish break of that trend line, and then potentially a pullback, maybe even on the 15-minute time frame, a pullback, that's a good opportunity to enter, right? Because we're still in this 80-20 space.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And you got a convincing move to the downside. See what I'm saying? So now, from a risk to reward perspective, to be safe, you could place your stop above this high, right?
Yep.
And now you're looking at, let's see. So let's say we entered off of a pullback like that. Okay. Now 50 pip, 47 pip stop loss, 60 pip take profit 1, right? So almost at a little shy of a 2-to-1, right? But if it makes it a TP1, you made money, right? Now you're at more than a 2-to-1. So from a risk to reward perspective, you're in line.
All right.
See? So it's not one that's like, if it was further down, right? If this move was already kind of working its way and we're looking at price being down here somewhere,
Mhm.
then you would want to wait for a high price, right? You want to wait for a pullback in that scenario, but you got a break of that trend line,
Mhm.
right? And price has started to make its move to the downside. So then you wait for a high price, a pullback, and then you can enter that move.
All right.
Right. So it's not in the middle. It's still in your 80-20 space, where some of them, they were at that B boundary, maybe a little bit below or in
Right.
between that AB boundary, even deeper.
Gotcha. Okay.
See the
I
difference?
got you. Yep. I see the difference.
All right. Any other questions? No. All right. Let's take a look at the New Zealand US dollar. And what we'll do on this one is we'll do a fresh markup to end the session. Sorry I didn't get to some of these pairs. Let's see. Euro JPY. I'll try to grab at least one of those. Got a little bit of extra time because Logan doesn't have class this morning. So I'll try to catch a couple of those. So we'll do a fresh markup here. Start on the monthly time frame, right? Start on the monthly time frame, identify our highs. All right, that's our extreme high there. And our low, right? So we see that overall, right? The market moves in waves all the time, right? In a range, right? So we'll zoom into most recent time and we will identify our support and resistance levels. Okay. So we got a few here. Take this one. Change that gray. Identify this one. And then here, take that. Now this support level, once the end of the month comes, if this stays up, this support will change to there, right? But if we get a move to the downside and that low gets taken out, obviously there'll be a move further. So we'll wait on that support level and we'll identify support on the lower time frames so we have a better view of what the support structure looks like on this pair. Okay. So from monthly perspective, that's where we are. We'll drop down to the weekly time frame and do the same thing. So this is that push down, right? That we saw in that monthly time frame. So we'll take that here on the weekly level of support. Like so. Change that to blue. Okay. Take this zone here. And this one here. All right. So that's our weekly support. We don't have a swing high here yet, so this monthly resistance will serve as our weekly resistance as well. Okay. If we drop down to the daily time frame, here we are. Daily resistance. Take this level here. And then we'll take the support here. Oops. Like that. All right. So from a daily perspective, that's where we are. The support level down there is there. Okay. So recently we've just been in this little range here. Okay. So we zoom out and see overall, we've been in this uptrend, right? Price has been moving to the upside since 2020, right? Beginning of the pandemic. Dollar got weak. New Zealand got strong. So we'll start at fibs from the bottom, right? From the bottom to the top. Okay. So this is our active AB boundary here. All right. This is our capital AB boundary on the daily time frame. this, right, our 38.2 level, right? Generally, we track price at least to that level. And we see price came down, similar to the other New Zealand pairs, right? Price came down, gave us that reaction, strong push to the upside, right? So we got a 38.2 retracement, right? So we could potentially see price move. Here, let me do this real quick. I'm going to take these lower levels also. Just looking at this, if we get a break of that, then these will be our next levels. So before I finish the fib, right, just the support level here, I'm going to combine that zone into one like that. So that'll just be a level of support. Okay. All right. So 38.2 retracement, got a strong bounce to the upside. Again, very little retracement here, right? So we know where we are from a fib perspective. Okay. So we'll mark this as daily 38.2. Okay. And then we can mark in the event that we need them, right? We'll mark the daily 61.8, right? And we'll drop a line there as well. Okay. We love to see price push deeper. All right. So daily 61.8 level. Okay. So we'll remove this fib for now. And what we will do is just track this down move. Okay. If we drop a trend line on this, the high, right? See price is sitting right at that trend line. Tried to break through, couldn't break through, right? So haven't gotten a break of the trend line. Okay. Haven't gotten a break of the trend line, and that's where we're sitting. Right. So if we drop our fib from the top to the bottom on this. Okay. This is our active AB boundary, 61.8 retracement. Look familiar, right? Now we want to see what's going to happen. Okay. The matching D extension is down here at this weekly support level, right? So we want to see, do we get a rejection off of this trend line and price to push deeper? Okay. So from a daily perspective, this is that fib, right? So we'll copy this. We'll take this down to the 1 hour time frame. Okay. Let's go to the 1. All right. So this is that fib on the 1 hour, right? And we will map our fibs on the 1 hour time frame to the upside. So what we have here, we've got a shallow retracement, 118, 127, right? Tried to break through, couldn't break through that trend line, push down. Got a 38.2 retracement, then we got to push back to the upside, right? Benny talked about last week, right? How these harmonic patterns start to form in consolidation, right? You see that you didn't get a full breakout to the downside, but then you didn't get a full breakout to the upside, right? You didn't get that full breakout to the upside. Price stalled and then pushed back down. So, right, this is an indicator that we could potentially get price to push lower, right? Depending on the news, obviously, right? But this is how Benny said you start to see these, people say you look for the M's and the W's, right? You start to see these double top scenarios start to form, and you say, okay, if price does this, then we could see this, right? So trend line from the low, right? In consolidation, price is moving sideways. So we'll shift it out, right? If you would have identified some of this movement earlier, your trend line might have looked like this, and then you would have had an inner trend line to come here, right? That's where your trend shifted off of this second leg, but we just started moving sideways, right? So where are we today? Today we have sideways movement. When we get consolidation, we like to shift our trend line to the outermost point so that we can identify a true break of that trend line. Okay. Now, this is an interesting scenario, similar to some of the others where it's kind of in between that AB boundary, right? Now, as we've talked about with the dollar, if the dollar gains strength, we could see some strong movement. Okay. And this is somewhat of a longer term trend line. Okay. On your 1 hour, right? So this would be a scenario where you could again play, if you get a strong bearish break and a pullback to hold that trend line, right? You could then play that break and retest to the downside, right? Stop above the most recent high, like so. Okay. But you got a strong break and you got a retest and that trend line held. So now you're getting a move to the downside. So now you're still looking at your TP levels, right? 61.8 level. A boundary level, right? If that A gets broken, then we run the fibs from the top to the bottom, right? It's in between, yes, right? But when you're looking for the confirmations, right? Strong bearish break, pullback, that level holds, right? Price doesn't break and then give you, and then break back above, right? But price comes back up here, stalls, right? Rejects, you get a nice long wick off of a trend line retest, right? And then you could get that continuation, okay? So that's what I'd be looking for in this one. Strong bearish break of that trend line, pull back and retest, or you could even see, right, a break of this daily support level and a pullback, right? Oops. And a pullback into that zone, right? And if that zone holds, then you can get that continuation to the bottom, right? So that's what I'd be looking for. Breaking the trend line in a retest, or if you get a strong bearish candle that breaks through that daily support, right? Wait for a pullback in a higher price, and then we could look for that movement to the downside, right? But that'll be contingent on how the news comes out, potentially, and if it's strong for the dollar, right?
Hey, Ryan,
What's up, Benny?
I know you got a list of requests. Somebody asked for the Aussie New Zealand too.
Yep.
I think it was D, if you can get to it.
Yeah,
But I
I'll
know you
take
got
a
a
look at it.
couple other ones in front. I know it's continuing to push to the downside. Aussie weak, New Zealand strong. So
Yeah, I will. Thanks, Ken. Yep, I added to the list. I appreciate that, bro. All right. Any questions on this New Zealand dollar?
yep. And then too, Ryan, just a reminder, everybody,
Yeah.
when you have these like a CPI or major report come out, make sure you have your dollar basket ready, right? So you can see the price action and the movement.
Yep. Good call, bro. All right, we'll keep moving. Since we're on NZDs, I'll take a look at the Aussie NZD quickly. Right, from a daily perspective, this is where we are, right? Price been moving to the downside. Okay. So this is our capital fib on the daily time frame. I already have my trend lines already built in there, right? But you see, zoom in on this, right? I'll move the trend line so you can see it a little bit more clearly. Oh, AB boundary formed. We got a 38.2 retracement, right? But price is pushing down now, right? Just barely got to that 38.2 level. Price is pushing to the downside. So potentially we could see, right, price to stall here and then a potential reversal, right? But we'll see, right? The Aussie is weak right now, right? So price is pushing to the downside. So that's from a daily perspective. Okay. Go to the 1. Right. Run our fibs from the top to the bottom. This is that AB boundary. Shallow retracement. 118 to 127. And price is still working its way to the downside. Okay. Still working its way to the downside. So that's where we are, right? We could see, we could potentially see in this scenario, right? This D extension get hit, and then a new AB boundary form, right? That's what I'd be waiting for in this scenario. Because like Benny said, the Aussie is weak, and New Zealand has been gaining that strength. So to do one of those 20% scenarios where momentum is just strong, right? Hits that D extension, and then we could potentially see, well, we would see a new AB boundary form once the swing low, and then we could see a potential retracement from there. Okay. So, all right, allow price to push down, get that D extension, and give us a new AB boundary. Okay. Take those out. That's where we are on the Aussie New Zealand. Questions? All right, we had Euro JPY. Euro JPY. So, long-term perspective. Look at that. I marked that out a while ago. Whoops. Oh, that was the fib. Okay. Clear that. Clear that. Maybe. Hold on 1 second. All right. So from a daily perspective, okay, this is where we are. AB boundary formed, shallow retracement, 118 to 127 zone. Price has been trying to make its way to the downside. This that daily 38.2 level here, right? As a take profit level. I'll change this to a red line so we can identify. Okay. Daily 38.2. Right? That's what we're looking at. And also, you see here, look at this. All right, took out that low, came back up, right, for a see the right tip. Bang, right? That's what you guys saw on the screen when I pulled it up, right? 38.2 retracement, D extension there. Bang, right? If that plays out, okay? Potential King's Crown pattern completion on that, right? So take that off, right? But that's where we are, okay? So working our way down to this daily 38.2 level, potentially deeper, okay? So if we map our sub fibs on this from the top to the bottom, just look sheerly from a sub fib perspective, got a 6-to-1-8 retracement, price is trying to make its way down to this D extension level, right? It hasn't quite gotten there yet, okay? So that's from a daily perspective. Drop down to the 1, see where we are overall. Okay, so if we take our fibs from the top to the bottom, oops. Got taken out, got taken out. There we go, okay. This is the active AB boundary. You see price is kind of just overall just sideways, right? We got to push down, didn't get to the D extension level. right? Price pushed back up, gave us a deeper retracement, right? To this, didn't quite get to the 8.6 level. So a 7.86 retracement. And now it's trying to push back to the downside. Okay. Clean this up some, right? So now it's trying to make its way back to the downside, right? Got trend line break, price is pushing down there. So ultimately we want this D extension to be hit, okay? We are in this zone here. If you're not already in this, potentially be a wait and see from a capital fib perspective, right? If you get price to push back higher, right, and maybe hold this zone again, right? Price push back higher into the zone, right, and give you a rejection, right? Then you could have your higher price to move to the downside, right? If you really wanted to get in this one, if you're not in this one, they're potentially better plays. But if you wanted to find an entry on this one to get into the downside, you could try to work something out like that on a higher price, right? You're up in your, back up into your sweet spot, looking for a move to the downside if that occurs. Okay. Or you can take your fib, AB boundary, you already got your retracement, right? Price is trying to retest those levels. So if you get a deeper retracement off of this type 2 fib, then you can look for a potential entry to the downside. You got stochastic pushing down into the buy zone, right? So some potential buying momentum. Obviously, the news could potentially impact this one from a yen perspective, but the euro's been kind of strong. So if you get a deeper retracement, right, back up here to take back some of this bearish move here, right, get something like that, then you could potentially look for a move to the downside and place your stop above the high. Okay. So not in that one. That's what I would be looking for as a pullback to the 8.6 level, something like that.
Hey, Ryan.
Yo.
That number, it missed forecast.
Let's say 30 already? Oh. Missed forecast. Let's go back. What we see. Dollar Swiss. Push to the downside. Dollar CAD. Push to the downside. Dollar yen, push to the downside. So let's say about our euro dollar. Push to the upside. Pound dollar. Push to the upside. There we go. That's the reaction.
Yep. So this is, if you just wait it out, right? This is where everything will start to set up for you. So we'll start to know what our direction is going to be for, on the dollar for at least the next few weeks, next month or so. Since dollar, it missed, right? Came in below forecast. We know actually greater than forecast is good for the currency. If you miss forecast, not so good for the currency for this particular report. So you can see that the US dollar is continuing to weaken. So what does the DXY look like?
DXY. Go. Strong bearish candle to the downside.
Yep. So you look at dollar weakness. So you look to trade accordingly.
Yep.
Very, 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 very simple, right? So actual greater comes in under, right? Not good for the currency. So there we have it. Powell continues to look like the smartest man in the room right now.
He does. He definitely does.
He's straddling the fence for a reason, right? Said he needs to see more progress, right? A lot of people think he's crazy. Inflation is heating up. What is he doing? Well, see, you can clearly see what his plan and his strategy is. So, yep. So what they were looking for is right. So if you had a high inflation number, then they're looking at, hey, the Feds may look to speed up the tapering process, but with this number, not so quick. Not so quick. So
not so quick.
Well. So there we go. So now you always need a catalyst, right? When you see that market pushing sideways on a lot of pairs, you need a catalyst to get things going. And that's all we look for in the Forex market, because we don't care either way. We just need some sense of direction where the market is pushing sideways. So we should start to see some movement. What pair is that? Is that the New Zealand?
This New Zealand dollar.
The New Zealand dollar? Yeah.
Right.
So you need something to give you some direction. All right. It's beautiful how these things play out. You just need something. You need some gas in the tank to get this thing moving. All right. And you guys see it happening in real time. That's why these reports are important. So
Right.
oh yeah.
Remember
Oh yeah.
right?
So you should start seeing moves on the dollar Swissy, dollar yen to the downside, right? Let's see. What else?
JPY.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
All right. Real time. Real time.
so nothing to be, to be scared of. Just understand what it is and why it's happening. Right.
Yep.
So let's wait for the markets to settle down and then look to see what setups come about as a result of the report.
Thanks for that heads up, bro.
You're welcome.
See, it's the same process over and over and over and over and over again. All right, so let's take a look at the Aussie JPY. All right, so on this one, we've been looking at, been watching it, right? We got a 32 retracement, price pushed a little deeper down to this weekly support level, and we got a bounce, a strong bounce to the upside. Couldn't break through this daily resistance level, right? And then gave us a rejection, okay? All right, this is the active sub fib here, 50% retracement, okay? So we go down to the 1 hour. Go down to the 1. We see those are fibs there. All right, so that's the active fib on the 1 hour time frame. Okay, shallow retracement, 118 to 127. Got to push back up, deeper retracement. Excuse me, deeper retracement here. Right. So now price is trying to make its way back to the downside. So we'll see. Right. Get this nice bullish candle here. Could we get price to stall out here and make a move higher? If that reversal comes. Okay. All right, or we could get a deeper push. right? If price continues to push down deeper, right? Even with that tip, we could see something like that. But we got a nice bullish candle happening here. So we want to see how the market responds there. Okay. But 80-20 scenario, we haven't gotten this 38.2 level yet. So we would like price to push deeper, but we'll have to wait and see. So how you can monitor it is like this. So overall, it's been in a range, right? So drop your trend lines. Bang. Right. So what reaction do you get as price pushes up? Do we get a reaction and a push back down, or does price break through that trend line and then continue to the upside? Okay. So on these sub fibs, it's 80-20 play to the downside. Okay. So use this trend line as your guide. If you get a break of that trend line, we could see price push higher, right? And not give us that deep retracement that we wanted to on it. Okay. So it's the Aussie yen. Right. These are just your sub fibs to the upside. Okay. This is your active fib in the dominant trend, which is down. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? No? Okay. So let's what else we got on the list here? Silver. Let's take a look. Take a look at silver. We'll use this one.
It's gonna be interesting to see if what kind of rally you see on Wall Street with the stocks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. New highs. New highs. There we go. All right. This isn't one that I trade, but let's take a look. Let's clean this up a little bit. Right. So from a daily perspective, been consolidating, right? Down at the bottom of the range, trying to make its way back to the top. Look at the fib. We got a 38.2 retracement 3 times, right? 1 touch, 2 touch. Move this out so you can see it. 3 touch, right? 3 touches down there, and then we got that push to the upside. Okay. Got a stochastic pushing down into the buy zone. After that last touch, we got consolidation, then a breakout. Now price came back to retest it, right? From a daily perspective. So if we map our sub fibs from the top to the bottom.
So is that a triple bottom?
Yeah.
I mean, that,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep, that level's strong. All right. And then a push. So now we're sitting here. So if we map our fibs from the top to the bottom on this, active AB boundary, right? That pushed down, gave you new AB boundary. Now you're trying to make your way up. You got a hit of that 38.2 retracement here, right? So if you were in this play from a daily perspective, right, your TP1 got hit, and then you got the rejection. So now right? Came back to retest this demand zone. Look at that. Came right back inside. So now we're looking to see if price continues to the upside. Okay. So we go down to the 1 hour. Down to the 1. Let's see. I'm going to start from the high. Probably get, yeah. There we go. That's your active AB boundary there. You got a 618 retracement. Now price is trying to figure out what it's going to do. So you got bullish candle with a long wick off of that news. So now we're sitting here in this zone again, right? We want to see if we get a move to the upside. So that's your active AB boundary. Drop your trend lines here. See if you could potentially get a move to the upside. Okay. So you could draw in a more aggressive trend line, but I would keep it there to be more conservative. If you get a break of that trend line and a break of this daily resistance level, right? Treat it as a structure play, break, retest, right? Now you could be looking at a move to the upside. Okay. But this range you're kind of at the top of, so you could potentially see a push to the bottom as well, but it's likely, right? Strong bullish move depends on how this hour candle closes, right? You could see a continuation on that, but I would wait for a break and a pullback to look at a move on that one. Yeah. Yeah, you got stochastic pushing down into the buy zone again there, and it's in the buy zone on the daily time frame. Yeah. Yep. So if your bias is long on this, right, you want to wait for a break and a pullback. If your bias is short, I'd wait for a new AB boundary to form. Yep, I'd look to trade something else until that one smoothed out some.
Hey, Ryan.
Yo.
I want to put everybody onto a potential setup on the Aussie CAD.
Aussie CAD.
Yeah. Aussie CAD, run the sub fib to the downside. We may be in for a pullback. Potential buy on that one. Yeah. Right. So either that be boundary at 118, 127. That 127 is sitting right around that 382 area. Right. So that's a potential, right? So everybody write that down, right? Try to get it sent up through TradingView when I get in a better position to do so. But your Aussie CAD, that GJ running to the upside right now.
Potential here.
Yeah. Yeah, we can put that one in the Telegram group. The dollar Swissy is already making a move.
Yeah.
Because of that announcement.
All right.
Hey,
That's
Benny, did
potential
you
there.
say the odd CAD on this
Yep.
one? Or-
Yep.
Yeah.
Aussie CAD here.
Okay, so like you're like the 382 is what you're thinking of?
I'm thinking long because of the sub fib coming in confluence with it to the downside, right? So
Yep.
that Aussie CAD, right? The Aussie CAD, I've been sitting short. On this Aussie CAD from way up around that 127 area, that 127. But we've got a new down AB boundary that's in confluence with that 382 area. So it's a potential for a pullback play, right? A B to C move pullback play on that one.
I got you.
Yeah, you see it?
Yep. I
Yeah.
see it.
So
It's that
yeah, so at
382
some
over
point
here.
it may pull back and then head back down deeper, but there's a potential for a B to C move on that play. You got pretty good confluence, so that's one to keep an eye on. I couldn't get it out fast enough, but that dollar Swissy, which it already pushed down to the downside and broke that
Yeah.
little consolidation it was in.
Yeah. Yeah.
We already
But
saw what
that's what I would have waited on anyway, because I wouldn't have tried
Yeah.
to get in off that.
we already saw what the UJ was doing.
Yeah.
There's another one on the radar.
I was going to be the GJ real quick.
Yeah, the GJ.
You guys get that Aussie CAD play?
It's potential. Be patient with that Aussie CAD. You may get a drop to the 127, but that's just one to keep on if you get your confluence.
Yeah. All right, so AB boundary, got a double bottom here. Price is now pushing to the upside.
Yeah.
Broke that trend line.
GJ potential more off that one.
Yep.
Off
I'm
that,
just looking at long term real quick.
Yeah.
Long term potential down here, but price is pushing back to the upside. Okay. So here we got, let's remove this out so you guys can see this. Maybe. Okay. We got to break that trend line, right? Benny talked about that X last week. Broke it, came back right inside of that and pushed back to the upside, right? So this is where we are on that. So we got to break that trend line. This is our uptrend line. So I'll take this out just so we can see things a little cleaner. So you're looking at Benny, this 80-20 play potentially?
Yeah, if you run a sub, right? These are just off the reactions from the market. So if you run a sub from that low, go move. Yeah, but right there off that 382 near that 382, that low there, right there.
Interesting. Let's see.
Right, you gotta do extension being hit. So eventually that's gonna reset, and you're gonna get a correction on that. So just watch for that one.
So that's kind of in line with right, in line with the 80-20 play off the capital too. Yeah,
absolutely. So just pay attention, just pushing up now because of what just happened with the report. But that's one to keep an eye on where you got to do extension hit. Eventually, it's gonna form that new high. You're gonna get a new AB boundary, right? So it's a type 2 type of setup, but it can put you right in line with a correction back to the downside. So just watch out for that one.
I might set up a limit order for that one.
A limit right in between there.
Yeah, right between that. Yeah.
Yep. That made a good play. Yep. So I caught that sub fit to the upside, but it's putting you right in line with that type of setup. So
thank you, Benny.
You're welcome.
All right. So we gotta
be patient with it because we know it's running. We know it's running right now. So just be patient.
Yep.
Not willing to buy it at that high price, right? Not willing to buy it at that high price, but I'll definitely take the correction and potential back to the downside.
Understood.
Yep. Cool. Thanks, Ryan.
Looking up, bro.
Yep.
All right. Any question on those? All right. And I should post those. Aussie CAD. What is this? GJ. Okay, so let's I know I hopped away from the Euro JPY kind of quickly there, right? So that's where we are on this one, right? Price trying to push up, right? Overall, we could be looking long-term short, but price is moving to the upside here. Okay, so if we get that pullback to a higher price, then you can look for potential short, right? And we'll see what the next few hours have in store. but I definitely wait for a higher price in order to sell this. Right? Long term. Did I not mark this up? I thought I marked this up, guys. I apologize. That's out. Interesting. Long term, looking short, right? But we could get price to push higher before that happens. Okay. I'm tripping. Yeah, that's the Euro JPY, right? Looking for price to push back to the downside after we get a high price. Questions? No questions? I'm gonna do another full markup on this. I thought I marked this up, but I could be losing it. Do this real quick. Like this. Right. Zoom in. Like so. Then we got most recent resistance level here. Oops. We'll take this one here. And here. Okay. Down to the weekly. Support level here. A daily, that monthly resistance will be our weekly resistance as well. Okay, this level of support here. All right, go down to the daily. That level there. It's a tight zone there, but we'll take it. Okay, then we'll take this one together like this. Like so. Okay. Excuse me. All right, so that's support and resistance there. And then we had our fibs mapped on there. Like so. Okay, right. Excuse me. Okay. Potential King's Crown action, right? Could get a push up, make potential retest of this resistance. And then we could see the move to the downside, potentially, right? If that level holds. If that level holds. So if we map the sub fibs from the top to the bottom, AB boundary, right? So it was trying to make its way down and hit that D extension, but got to break through this weekly support first. Okay. So transfer, clear that out, clear that out. We'll take all of that to the lower time frame. Now we're here. Okay, this is where we are, all right? So if we map those fibs from the top to the bottom on this, Zoom in. Okay. Probably go to the end. Yep. There we go. Okay. So that's where we are, right? Level of resistance here, 786 level, right? So now looking for a potential pushback to the upside, right? We get a push up. Retesting some of this bearish move here, right? We could then see that reversal play. Okay, if we map our sub fibs from the low, AB boundary. Yeah, we did get shallow retracement, didn't get to the 38.2. So it's trying to make its way back down, right? Trying to make its way back down. So we'll see. If we get a higher price, that could be a potential entry opportunity back to the downside. Okay, that's the UOJPY. So, any questions on anything that we've covered today? Any questions about anything? Benny, you got anything before we close out, bro?
No, sir. No, sir. Just keep doing the work, keep spending the time in the back office watching the videos. One of the things that we are able to see is video watch time, right? So continue to watch the videos, right? You have to get the reps in, right? So get the visual reps in by watching the videos, and then continue, to show up for yourself at the live sessions. And I promise you, it will eventually click for you. It will eventually click for you, and you'll be on your way to becoming a consistently profitable trader, an independent, consistently profitable trader, right? So you can do this on your own, right? And you can, if you want to, with your family, right? I know with my kids, right? I started to teach them like fundamental things about it, especially my 10-year-old, right? About the markets, right? So you can change the legacy for your family if that's what you want to do, right? Or you can just keep it to yourself and do your thing. But no matter what, you gotta put the time in it. Time in, you gotta work hard at it, and it'll happen, right? Nothing beats hard work. Nothing. So other than that, I'll see everybody at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. We'll get things rocking and rolling and seeing what happened throughout the day with the charts since we've gotten this announcement. So take care, everybody.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
Thank you both.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank all of you.
Thank you.